Hi everybody, it's Mena. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is the very first video that you're seeing of me, then welcome to my channel. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you didn't already. I post every day except for Tuesday and Friday afternoon sometimes. And this is going to be like my third attempt to make this video because it kept turning out not very good, or it kept turning out weird. And today's video is going to be an embarrassing story about how my two friends were fighting in the library at school, and we were all pretty embarrassed because they almost got us kicked out of the library. So this is a story just to teach you guys it is never okay to fight anywhere at school, especially if you're in a school library, because libraries are places for people to study or people to read books, and if you want to fight, do it somewhere else. Just don't do it anywhere at school, or especially in a library. So I'm going to get started, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I hope you learn never to get into a fight at school or at the school library. So here we go. Sorry, I was just doing my rows. But anyway, so this all started about excuse me one second. Sorry about that. I lost track of how many years ago this started. But anyway, so this all started about 15 years ago. I was in the 8th grade. I was having lunch with my friends, and my friend decided to get everybody passes to go to the school library because our library was open during lunch hours at school. So we were able to go to the library and hang out and have a good time. So we were super excited. And it was like a big group of us. I think it was about 6 of us that day. So we all decided that we wanted to go and sit in the local library and hang out and draw pictures, read books, or do whatever we were planning to do. And we thought that was a good idea because honestly, it was a little bit too noisy outside, and we just kind of wanted a quiet place to hang out. So we all decided that we would have a much better time spending at the school library. So we all get passes to go to the library, and after we finish our lunches, we all go into the library, and we have to go through a building to get to the library because the library was inside a building, an indoor building. And so we get into the library and we sit down and we just end up hanging out. We just chat and draw pictures of like whatever we were drawing. And all of a sudden we start to hear two boys. I'm going to call them two of our friends who are boys, and I'm going to call them both Argue 1 and Argue 2 because they were both just arguing. I don't remember what they were arguing about, but they started to argue in the library, and my friend and I were like confused because we weren't sure what they were arguing about, and they were arguing not too bad, but to the point where they were screaming, but it looked like they were about to kind of like yell at each other. And my friends and I were like, can you guys please stop fighting? You're going to get us kicked out of the library. And they're not really listening to us, and they're making so much noise in the library. And my friends and I are kind of embarrassed because we have a feeling that we're going to get kicked out of the library with the two of them fighting. So we're not sure what we're supposed to be doing, so we just sit there. And then all of a sudden, the librarian comes over and tells the two boys who are fighting, or who are Argue 1 and Argue 2, to stop fighting in the library. They are making way too much, and how they're making way too much noise, and that's not appropriate, and blah, 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 blah. So the boys stop fighting, and finally my friends and the rest of us are relieved because they were just fighting so much to the point where we were going to get kicked out of the library. And so the rest of the time we're in the library, we decide to kind of like focus on what we were doing, like draw or read books or whatever we were doing in the library. So then all of a sudden the bell rings for our classes and we all decide to go to our classes. I had math that period and they all had English. So as I'm walking to my math class, I run into my old English teacher who was on her way to meet the class, and I remembered the two boys who were argue 1 and argue 2 were in her class. So I walk up to the teacher and I tell her that argue 1 and argue 2 were fighting in the library, and I usually don't like tattling on people, but I wanted to tell her this so she could have a chat with them, because we were getting very annoyed because argue 1 and argue 2 almost got us kicked out of the library. So I was explaining to her where argue 1 and argue 2 were fighting in the library, and they were just making kind of a little bit too much noise while fighting in the library and blah, 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 blah. So I was explaining the whole spiel to her. She goes, okay, I'll talk to them. So as I go upstairs to go to my math class, which was my 5th period class, I could hear the English teacher, who happened to have argue 1 and argue 2 in her class, talk to them and tell them how it's not appropriate for the two of them to be fighting in the library, and they were disturbing everyone else, and then how they need to be careful, and if they want to argue, they have to argue somewhere else, and how they need to stop arguing at school. I couldn't hear the rest of it because I ended up going all the way upstairs to get to my math class, and I'm guessing she was telling them how it's not appropriate, having a chat with them about how it's not appropriate to be arguing in the library, which I thought was a really good thing, because they were just making way too much noise and they almost got us kicked out of the library. So luckily the two boys never argued again in the library after that, because it was just getting way too much and it was too noisy and we almost got kicked out. And we were super happy that they finally stopped and started to get along much better, because it was just super irritating to listen to them fight in the library and have the librarian get mad at us for that. So the moral of the story is, it is never appropriate to fight anywhere at school, especially if you're in a library, because libraries are for people to study. There are some people who are trying to do their homework, some people who are trying to read books, and they don't want to listen to you fight at the library. If you want to fight with somebody, fight somewhere else. Don't fight at school, or especially in the library, because it's just really not appropriate, especially if you're getting into an argument using words. Just don't do it. And if that person is bothering you, just walk away and ignore them, and just mind your own business, and just stay out of the person who's bothering you's way. Don't get into a fight with them somewhere where people are trying to relax and study, because you're just going to make so much noise and make it worse for everybody. Or worse, get everybody kicked out of the library or banned from the school library. So always just be mindful. So that was a story about how two of my friends got into an argument at the library. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this taught you never to get into a fight in the school library. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I post every day except for Tuesday and Friday afternoon sometimes, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye!